You devoted years to raising them, bandaging their scraped knees, attending school meetings, losing sleep over their teenage defiance, and shedding quiet tears of pride at their graduation. Now, in the calmer seasons of your life, the instinct feels natural. Draw nearer to them, stay close, just in case. But here's the twist no one warns you about. That closeness, that intended proximity to your grown children can quietly chip away at the very peace you've worked so hard to earn. Let's walk through this together. At first, it sounds ideal. Your daughter lives only 20 minutes away. Your son just bought a house in the suburbs, and there's a lovely retirement community just down the road. A thought plays in your head like a gentle lullaby. Asterisk, if anything happens, at least they'll be nearby. Asterisk, and that's true. Emergencies become easier, holidays feel warmer, babysitting the grandkids is more convenient, but life, especially in old age, isn't built on occasional moments. It's built on daily rhythms, and living near your children can slowly turn that rhythm into noise, the kind that never truly settles. Let's begin with the unspoken expectations. They aren't written in any letter, never said aloud, but they linger in the air. The idea that if you're nearby, you're always available for dog sitting, grocery runs, picking up the kids when school lets out early. You may be retired, but that doesn't mean you aren't busy. Yet many older parents fall into the trap of helping so often that their days no longer belong to them. What starts as a favor becomes a routine. What was occasional becomes expected. It can feel good at first, needed, useful, important again. But over time, the scale tips. You're no longer choosing your days. You're reacting to theirs, and here's where it gets tricky. You might not even notice it happening. You might feel guilty saying no. After all, they're your kids. You love them, you want to be helpful. But when you begin putting their routines ahead of your own peace, it's no longer balance. It's sacrifice, and not the noble kind, the quiet, exhausting kind. There's something else rarely discussed: identity. When you live close to your kids, especially if they have families of their own, a subtle shift in roles occurs. You stop being seen as a whole person with your own needs and desires. Instead, you become grandma who helps out, or dad who can be called when things get hectic. That title may sound sweet, but it's a narrow lens. It flattens everything you are into one role: helper, assistant, background character in their busy story. You might still go to the movies, take your walks, read your books, but slowly the center of your life becomes them. Their schedule, their needs, their house. Some elderly parents even move into the same neighborhood or building, thinking it will bring closeness. And sometimes it does, but often what it brings is dependency, confusion, and tension. You might be nearby, yet not invited to everything. You might be able to help, yet not always thanked. You might be present, yet not truly seen. That can hurt more than distance ever could. Then there are boundaries. Proximity tests them. If you live a few hours away, your visits feel special. They're planned, there's rhythm and intention. But when you're just a street over, those boundaries can blur. There's the knock on the door when you're not dressed, the phone call that assumes your day is empty, the casual dropping off of kids for a quick errand that turns into an entire afternoon. None of this is done out of malice. It's love, it's convenience, but love without boundaries is a quiet thief. It steals your afternoons, your privacy, your routines. Let's flip the coin. Imagine this. You've lived in your cozy little home for 30 years. It's far from your children now. They keep asking you to move closer. There's a condo nearby that would be perfect, but in that home, you know every creak in the floor. You have friends who wave during morning walks. You have your favorite coffee mug, your familiar church pew, your own space to grow old with dignity. If you move, yes, you'll be closer to your kids, but at what cost? You leave behind familiarity. You leave behind independence disguised as routine. In the new neighborhood, You might not know anyone. You might feel like a visitor in their world. Worse, you might feel invisible when they're busy and you're just waiting. No one tells you about the waiting, waiting for the
sweet.
call that doesn't come, waiting to be included, waiting for Sunday dinner that quietly turns into, "We're swamped this week, maybe next time." That's
What
the
my
worst
channel
kind
looks
of
like.
loneliness,
Crap we gotta
being
do.
physically close but emotionally out of reach. Let's talk about resentment. Yes, the forbidden word in families. When you're always available, always helping, always there, it starts to feel unequal. You may never say it out loud, but you might feel it, and resentment, even unspoken, changes the tone of every interaction. Suddenly, a favor feels like a chore, a visit feels like an obligation. The joy begins to drain from the relationship like a slow leak you can't patch. And your kids might feel it too. They might sense your frustration. They might feel they can never do enough, that you're always a little disappointed, and they don't know how to fix it. Because the truth is, they didn't ask you to sacrifice, you volunteered, but now it feels like they owe you. That silent contract turns into tension, and tension, no matter how well you hide it, shows. So what's the alternative? It's not to stay far away forever. It's not to cut ties, ignore grandkids, or live in isolation. No, it's to live on your own terms. To be close in heart, not necessarily in postal code. To visit often but live independently. To say yes sometimes and no without guilt. To love your children without becoming their unpaid assistant, emergency babysitter, or emotional sponge. Some older adults flourish with distance. They build routines that are deeply their own. They travel. They join clubs, they date, they dance, they try new things, and when they do see their family, they show up as full people. Not tired, overextended parents, but joyful, present guests. And the grandkids, they don't need you every day. They need to see you happy. They need to remember you as the person who laughed loud, told great stories, and brought their favorite cookies, not as someone who lived nearby and looked worn out. Let that sink in. Your legacy isn't in how often you showed up. It's in how you made them feel when you did. And here's something else. When you live separately, when you have your own space, your children respect you more. They see you as an adult with your own life, not as a default safety net. That respect creates better conversations, more appreciation, deeper bonds. Because every visit becomes a choice, not an expectation. Every moment becomes special, not routine. Now, let's say you're already living near them, or you've already made the move. It's not too late to shift things. Start setting boundaries politely but firmly. Start saying no when you need to. Start reclaiming time for your own interests. It may feel awkward at first, but over time they'll adjust, and your relationship will likely improve. Not because you're available more, but because you're whole asterisk. Let's be honest, it's hard to step back once you've already stepped in. Especially when love and family are involved. You don't want to disappoint them. You don't want to look selfish. But being selfish isn't always bad. Not when it's about protecting your peace. Not when it's about living the life you've earned. You didn't survive all those decades and trials just to become someone else's calendar filler. So what happens when you start pulling back? Usually something surprising. Your children adjust. They might grumble at first, yes. They might raise an eyebrow when you say you're busy on Thursday because of your art class, book club, or just a nap. But eventually they get it, and more importantly, they admire it. They see you as someone with a life, not a spare part. And here's the secret whispered in support groups, therapists' offices, and behind closed doors in retirement communities. Many elderly parents feel trapped by their own good intentions. They move to be close. They expect warmth and togetherness. But what they find is an invisible leash, one that tugs at them when they try to rest, one that pulls tight when they speak up. The kids don't mean to pull, but the leash is real, and sometimes it's not just emotional, sometimes it's financial. You move closer and suddenly there are subtle asks. Help with a mortgage, help with bills. Can you co-sign this? Can you pitch in for that? You're already nearby. Can you just do a bit more? It doesn't always happen, but it happens enough. And money conversations between parents and adult children. They are messy. They can tear at the seams of trust and mutual respect. You don't want that. You want visits that end in hugs, not tension. You want birthdays that are joyful, not obligatory. You want your presence to feel like a blessing, not a burden. So what's the better way? Build a relationship based on freedom. That means living where you thrive. Maybe that's a coastal town with sunshine and bookshops. Maybe it's your hometown where everyone still remembers your name at the bakery. Maybe it's a small apartment where everything fits just right, and the silence feels like a warm blanket. Wherever it is, it should be your choice, not a concession to their convenience, and if they love you, and they do, they'll make the effort. They'll visit, they'll call, they'll find time. You raise them to be resourceful. Let them show it. And let's touch on a topic people really avoid: conflict. When you live close to your adult kids and you're involved in their daily lives, you'll eventually see things that make you bite your tongue. Maybe it's how they raise their children. Maybe it's how they treat each other. Maybe it's their choices about money, religion, politics, friends. And you'll try to stay quiet, but proximity makes silence hard. You see too much, you hear too much. And sometimes, despite your best intentions, you say something. Then come the arguments, then come the cold shoulders. Then comes the awkwardness where you're not sure if you should knock on their door or just stay home. Distance isn't just physical, it's emotional insulation. It gives everyone space to be who they are without stepping on each other's toes. That space can save relationships. You can still love fiercely, deeply, unconditionally from afar. You can still be present in the ways that matter: cards, calls, visits. Care without being *2*present. And don't underestimate how your own happiness matters to your family. When they see you enjoying life, trying new things, making new friends, staying active, something clicks in their hearts. They stop seeing you as a fragile elder to be watched over. They start seeing you as the vibrant soul who raised them, still full of stories, ideas, and spirit. You give them hope. You model aging not as a slow fade, but as a new chapter. Let's not forget something swept under the rug far too often: your health. When you're constantly bending to help others, especially in your later years, your body pays the price. Those last-minute drives, the heavy lifting, the stress of meeting others' needs before your own. It creeps into your joints, your blood pressure, your sleep. And suddenly, the very reason you moved close, so they could take care of you, someday gets flipped. You're too drained to be strong for yourself. But when you live on your own terms, you protect that energy. You use it for walks, gardening, your crossword puzzle in the sun. And when you do need help, it's not because you're depleted from overgiving. It's because you're human. And they'll come, because love doesn't need proximity to be powerful. Now, let's talk about legacy. What do you want your children and grandchildren to remember about you? That you were always available. That you sacrificed your joy so theirs could shine. Or that you were someone who lived fully, aged boldly, and loved with boundaries. Because that last one, that's powerful, memorable, and teaches them how they should age one day. Not as shadows orbiting their children, but as full suns in their own right. And when the end comes, because it always does, you want your memories to feel rich, not cluttered with resentment, exhaustion, and things left unsaid. You want to look back and say, I lived well. Not just, I lived nearby. Now, none of this is to shame elderly parents who move closer. Sometimes it works beautifully. Sometimes the bond grows stronger with mutual respect. But it has to be a choice made with eyes wide open, not from fear, not from guilt, not from loneliness disguised as love, but from clarity. And that's what you have now, clarity. You know what makes you thrive. You know what drains you. You've earned the right to choose joy every day in every way. Even if that means living 3 states away, even if it means skipping every other birthday party, even if it means sending love through a phone screen instead of across the dinner table. Because when you're happy, your love becomes lighter, warmer, healthier, and that kind of love, it travels any distance. If you made it this far, it probably means you've felt this tension too. Maybe you're in it right now. Maybe you've already moved and you're second, guessing it, or maybe your kids are pressuring you to come closer and you're not sure what to do. Let this be your reminder. You don't owe anyone your presence at the cost of your peace. You don't need to justify wanting space. You can love them and still live for you. And if they ever forget that, remind them gently, with a smile, maybe a story, maybe just by doing what makes your heart beat a little louder. And while you're here, if this message resonated, hit that subscribe button. We talk about the real stuff here, the honest truths, the hard choices, the things no one tells you about aging until it's already happening. And in the comments, tell us, where are you watching this from? What does your peace look like? Because sometimes the most powerful stories aren't about staying close. They're about knowing when to step back,